Hey everyone, it's Mike with the Raynham Channel, and I'm here now with Kathy Patterson. Kathy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. Now, can you explain to us and the viewers, where are we right now?
You are at WHOI Oceanographic Institution, the Ocean Science Exhibit Center.
How long have you been with WHOI?
I've been working at WHOI Oceanographic for about 23 years, but I've been at the Ocean Science Exhibit Center for 7.
Okay. And then when did the Science Center open?
Oh, it's been in some form or another since I've been working here, so well over 20 years.
And right now we're in the auditorium of the exhibit, the Science Center.
Yes, this is one of the places where we can have group visits and special lectures. Generally, when you come into the Ocean Science Exhibit Center, there's a volunteer to get you situated, whether or not you've been here or to point you in the right direction. And one of the first places we like people to go to is our auditorium, which has an overview video running on a loop. So we'll go in there. Here, the video can give highlights of the tools and vehicles that we use to explore. And during the intermission, you can check out our exhibits on the polar regions, from the Arctic to the Antarctic.
What are the operating hours and days normally of the Science Center?
The WHOI Ocean Science Center is open Monday through Friday, now through Memorial Day. Then we're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. through Labor Day. After Labor Day, we continue to open up Monday through Saturday until October, where we just then go down Tuesday through Friday. But if you're really interested in finding out hours, you can always go to WHOI.edu/visit us. One of our most popular exhibits is the personnel sphere of Alvin, our submarine. It's a little bit around the corner here. Here we have a personnel sphere that's basically a mock-up of our submarine Alvin, which has a titanium sphere that keeps people safe when it dives to the 4,500 meters that it goes to. Those are actual panels from the sub that have been saved. You can flick the switches and turn the lights on and off, and we have video running in the viewports that was taken from Alvin. You can also learn about engineering involved in the submarine by checking out these adjacent exhibits, such as how thick the viewports are on Alvin, how we deal with pressure on the sea floor, not crushing Alvin. We have syntactic foam that's used for buoyancy of Alvin, how you deal with salt water and electrical equipment, how to really realize how much pressure is on the sea floor. Because where Alvin goes, there's 6,600 pounds per square inch. So how do you really imagine that? Well, it's the same as 455 bowling balls per square inch. So if you pick up this bowling ball here, you can really get a feel for what it's like down on the sea floor, because just imagine 455 of those on top of each other for every square inch. WHOI Oceanographic Institution, or WHOI as most people call it, is a private independent research organization. We are the largest nonprofit research organization dedicated to ocean science in the world. We deal with all aspects of oceanography, from geology, physics, chemistry, physical oceanography, biology, and engineering. A lot of times that people that visit here, parents, their kids get inside Alvin and they actually can't get their kids out. So we point to this exhibit, which kind of is a little bit more adult in age. It's from our website, where you can learn about the video cameras on Alvin, the interior, the exterior. Say you want to learn about the personnel sphere, you can get as deep as listening to one of our Alvin pilots talk about what the personnel sphere is like. It's just a really cool exhibit. And I find that parents can stand here, learn about Alvin, and then say it back to their children in the proper level. It's a great companion exhibit. Some of the recent science that's been going on, we have scientists that have been working on the triple disaster off of Japan, where you had the earthquake, tsunami, and then the radionuclides going into the waters. So that's the Fukushima. We also have scientists that are currently putting out moorings all over the world, measuring currents and temperature. Scientists doing core samples of the ocean floor, looking at those core samples to find information about past climates. and all sorts of oceanography from the North Pole to the South Pole to basically every part of the world ocean. But other things that we've done in the past that people may be familiar with that they may not realize was done by the oceanographic. For instance, we found the Titanic in 1985. Dr. Ballard led the team from Woods Hole Oceanographic in 85, and then we went back in 86 and explored it further, and everyone's seen the National Geographic specials and things like that. We were involved in locating the wreck of the Air France Airbus off the coast of Brazil. That was a couple of years ago. That was so important to find the wreckage in order to get the black box. We've done 3D imaging of the Titanic. We've done a lot of research on the Gulf oil spill and helping to determine the actual flow rates of oil coming out of the seafloor. And there's probably at any one time about 3,500 research projects ongoing, so it's a real difficult thing to say in a few words what we do. This exhibit here kind of highlights the deep sea mosaic and how it's put together. So think of a robot going down to the seafloor and going back and forth. Very slow and monotonous, kind of like when you're mowing your lawn. And that's what they call it, mowing the lawn. So you go back and forth and you actually can have the edges touch each other, and the computers can then take each individual image that's being collected and put them together like a giant jigsaw puzzle into strips. Then they take those strips and put them together again over and over to get a picture of the seafloor in an area where you could not normally get a picture. It is too dark down there for cameras to pick up that wide of an area. At the Ocean Science Exhibit Center, we've had a couple models of Titanic donated to the institution by professional model makers. And this one here is by Roy Mengot. Here we can see we have a bow section and a stern section. And a couple of the interesting things that I find about these models is the bow section shows how the bow section was flooded and there were no real implosions, so there's less damage to the bow section.
Here in Woods Hole Village, how much property does Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution operate in? It's not just the science center, it's bigger than that.
Woods Hole Oceanographic has two campuses about 1.25 miles apart. I think there's about 62 buildings at this point. We have some smaller buildings that sometimes change their needs, but we have larger scientific buildings and labs that we really focus our work in. So divided between the two campuses, we have about 1,500 employees. We have the second largest employer on Cape Cod, and we have global ocean vessels that come to our port. They're usually here every 3 to 4 years. So the exhibit center is 2 floors, so here we've been in the deep ocean. So now we're going to go upstairs and kind of go up the ocean to the surface. This is the main room of the upstairs of the Ocean Science Exhibit Center, and here we've got a collection of exhibits including our Magic Planet, where you can look at the Earth and see the big picture of ocean circulation or the ocean draining or plate tectonics or earthquakes, so the big picture there. We also have an exhibit over here that we call Learning from Mud, and this is where you can learn about past climates looking at core samples. They can actually take core samples and look at the little creatures that are living in the different layers. Core samples go back in time through layers, and in each layer there are skeletons from little creatures. These little creatures, some of them like to live in warm temperatures and some cold temperatures. So by determining exactly which little critter is living in that layer, you can tell more about what the climate was like and the bigger picture of climate change.
For anyone who's in Woods Hole and they're trying to find the Science Center, what's the best way to get here? Walking, biking, driving?
If you're right in Woods Hole, already staying at one of the accommodations, it's really easy to find the Ocean Science Exhibit Center. We're located at 15 School Street, which is about 1 block down from Water Street, which is the main street in Woods Hole. And also there are conveniently located maps that show you the different facilities and buildings so you can kind of get yourself situated and easily walk to the facility. Some of our researchers at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution deal with marine mammal communications, and we've put together this exhibit. This is one of my favorite sounds that we have. That happens to be a narwhal, but you can learn more about the sounds that some of marine mammals make by coming here and checking out the exhibit.
People visiting Woods Hole who want to come do something during the day, let's say it's a rainy day outside, this is the place to be.
Absolutely.
Right.
Whenever it's overcast or rainy and it's not a beach day, it's a great place to come, Woods Hole. And coming to the Ocean Science Exhibit Center, you can have a lot of fun and learn about some of the current research and check out the exhibits. Absolutely. In our biology department, we have scientists studying harmful algal blooms. That's what scientists call it, but some of you may know it as red tide. And we have an exhibit here that really helps you get a better understanding of what red tide is, how these outbreaks happen, how they've been changing through the years, and what contributes to a bigger outbreak.
Can you briefly discuss some of the highlights of what's happening at the exhibit center right now?
Yes, I can say probably our most popular exhibit is the full-scale mock-up of the personnel sphere of Alvin, where you can actually get into it, flick the switches, the lights go on and off. I've seen people from 1 year old to 90 years old enjoying getting in that exhibit and going for a dive, a virtual dive. Another exhibit that we have that is quite popular is the discovery and exploration of Titanic. We have exhibits on marine mammals, communication, and some of the digital tags that they use to help learn more about them. We learn, the institution does research and learning more about past climates, and you can check that out at our cores and mud exhibit on how we look at these core samples and learn about past climates. Many times there are events that happen like the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, or the earthquake off of Japan creating the tsunami, and then the radionuclides coming into the ocean over there. And our scientists will try to do rapid response to this and get quick funding to be able to go out and help study these areas. This exhibit here is highlighting some of the contributions that we made for the Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
So right now we're in the auditorium of the Woods Hole Oceanographic Science Exhibit Center. Now, as you can see behind us, we are literally underwater in Antarctic.
That's correct. We're under an ice sheet jutting off of Antarctica, where we're telling the story of the food web and the importance of krill and algae and sea ice, and what potentially climate change could do to that food web. So in 1985, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, with the team led by Dr. Ballard, found the Titanic. And that was an exciting time. It actually really made people understand that oceanography is exciting. It was great time. So they had a year, and in that year, they put together the ROV Jason Jr., and we were able to go back in 1986 and actually explore the wreck in depth. The exhibit here highlights the '85 discovery, the 1986 exploration, but also it goes into the future and talks about some of the science that has come from there. We even have a family tree of vehicles because Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution is about technology development related to oceanography.
Other than the everyday highlights here at the Science Center, do you have any other special events? Summer lecture series, anything like that?
Yes, we do. Science Made Public is a summer lecture series during July and August, where Tuesday afternoons at 2:30, we have a scientist come and speak to a general audience. We've had topics from great white sharks on Cape Cod to locating that Air France Airbus on the seafloor, marine mammal communications, the Gulf Stream. It's a great opportunity to get up close and personal in this very intimate auditorium of 35 people or so with a scientist. We also have public events at Woods Hole Oceanographic that people get invited to that I help contribute to, and they may be in the broader area of Woods Hole. And the best way to know about that is to sign up for our electronic newsletter at WHOI.edu. You'll see a button on the very top. We have a tour program because so many people want to take a tour of the oceanographic. They've heard about it. Our tour program runs during July and August. It's twice a day. It has to be limited in size because some of the places that we go to, we can only fit a certain number of people, but we do our best to accommodate all those that want to have a tour. And again, you go to our website and we have more information on that. Yeah, the actual tour program, you have to call our information office. The e-newsletter is useful for other larger public events besides our tour program. At the WHOI Ocean Science Exhibit Center, we try to have exhibits for all age levels. And this one is particularly interesting because if you do visit Woods Hole and you happen to walk like from the aquarium to our exhibit center, just have you know that it's actually 2 Titanics, that distance, to give you a better feel for what Titanic is.
Now, if a larger group were to come to WHOI to take a tour, you guys accommodate larger group tours?
We host about 120 groups a year right at the center itself. Right. Most of these are school groups, and where we are able to do a 15-20 minute presentation before the group gets to see the exhibits. The presentation gives highlights of the tools and vehicles that we use to explore the world ocean, and then it's usually students then get to explore the exhibits. But we do also have adult groups or other types of people that come to Woods Hole and contact me about visiting the facility, and it works out really well. I think this exhibit on deep sea mosaicing really shows the technology development at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. So in 1987, it took 700 hours to manually put this photographic jigsaw puzzle together of the Titanic. In 2004, they were able to do this in 80 hours and put together 756 images. So we started with 100 images for 700 hours, and then we ended up with 756 images with 80 hours. The detail is much better. It's just, it just keeps, technology development keeps happening here at Woods Hole Oceanographic.
I'm certain that on a regular basis you get new additions to the Woods Hole Science Center here. Are there any new additions the past year or two that people find interesting?
The exhibits, we're always trying to update the exhibits. That's a fun job to work with the scientists to try to take their science and incorporate into the facility here. Currently, we have just added a new marine mammal communications exhibit where you can listen to marine mammals. You can see a spectrogram where you actually see a picture of the sound, because some of the sounds that they make are either too low or too high for us to hear, so that picture is important. We're working on a carbon cycle exhibit, but it's not quite done, so we've got other content that's been created from our website that we're displaying, and working on an ocean color from space exhibit. This map here is one of my favorite pieces of the Titanic exhibit. It's actually a map that they hand drew every day while they were exploring the debris field. You can actually see where they've erased it. They have a legend that they've created in their own. Here you can see, so the circles here, and you can look up what it was, where the bottles were. So every day after the expedition, they would go and update the map.
Are there any special events that go on during the summertime here at the exhibit center at WHOI in general?
Well, whenever we do a public event, one of the places that participates is the Ocean Science Center, and I will incorporate activities that are especially relevant for young kids. For instance, when we had an open house for our submarine Alvin, I had a big tank outside with some radio-controlled subs, and I got to explore the seafloor with some young kids. So we do like to incorporate them here, but it's on occasion.
So we're down here in the auditorium of WHOI Ocean Science Exhibit Center. And Kathy, thank you so much for having us. And just so everyone knows, if it's raining outside or it looks like it's going to rain, this is a place to be.
Absolutely. So I hope you've enjoyed your virtual tour of Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution's Ocean Science Exhibit Center. So if you'd like to come down and visit us, check us out on the web first, whoi.edu/visit us.